first off, I want to thank you all for coming. You know, I got to tell you, I'm really honored and I'm humbled today. I think one of the greatest compliments anybody that's been involved with public service can have is when people on the other side of the political aisle get behind you and support your candidacy. I think if you looked at the last 30 years of any partisan race in Santa Barbara County, you will not find anybody that was running for office that had so many prominent people that were, in my case, I'm a Republican, where you have registered Democrats, registered independents that are supporting, you know, my candidacy, and this is something I'm very, very proud of. I'm going to introduce a couple of them in a minute, but I'd like to think the reason I have that kind of support is because I've shown over the years that I'm a person, party doesn't mean anything. I'm an independent individual. I've always worked with everybody and anyone to get the job done, and I have a record of getting it done, and I did it by always working in a bipartisan way. And I'll let them tell you in their own words why they're supporting my candidacy. But I think, you know, Sacramento, frankly, one of the main reasons it's broken is because of the partisan gridlock. And I intend to be a very independent leader that's going to set the bipartisan tone starting next year for people, regardless of party affiliation, to get down and get the job done to get California back on the right track.
Yeah, Mike! Yeah, Mike!
You know, I'm going to introduce various, you know, elected and formerly elected and soon to be sworn in elected friends of mine and supporters. There are a couple folks that couldn't be here today, people like Harold Fletcher, a Democrat, former county supervisor. You have Russ Hicks, a Democrat city councilman from Buellton, who supports my candidacy, couldn't be here. And a couple other folks. But what I'd like to do now is I'm going to one by one introduce friends from the other side of the political aisle that are supporting my candidacy, and they can tell you in their own words, you know, why they are. And I'll start off with Bob Geis, our auditor controller, a Democrat, and somebody I've worked very closely with over the years. And Bob?
You know, as Mike said, he and I started as elected officials in the early 90s, and if you remember back then, we had a serious recession, and you know, Mike showed the leadership on our board to help us reorganize county government, get more efficient and more effective, and you know, he did that by reaching out across the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, you know, to a broad constituency of people to get those things done. And he was in a minority there, and he still was very effective in county government. So, you know, we've been personal and professional friends since then, and I always appreciated his good work early in my career.
Well, thank you, Bob. And good longtime friend of mine, former treasurer tax collector, a Democrat, Gary Ferramisco.
Similar with Bob, as he said, having worked with Mike over 25 years ago and known him for that long, it was very appreciative of the fact that when we went through these difficult times, he was able to effectively streamline local government, and that's definitely what Sacramento needs, given the gridlock that they have. And he's can work very effectively by reaching across to both sides and to reach a consensus to get the job done. So not only is he a friend, but I think as someone who can represent us in Sacramento, he can certainly get the job done, and that's definitely what it needs at this time.
Well, thank you. And who's going to make a great treasurer tax collector, who's lucky. He won the primary outright, and he doesn't have to worry about running again in November because he got more than 50% of the vote with a crowded field, which is really impressive and tells you about his credentials. Harry Hagan, our treasurer tax collector elect, another Democrat. And
yeah, I'm very proud to endorse Mike. I haven't known him a long time, you know, probably less than a year, but what I do know, he's a man of integrity. He has some very strong core convictions, and he's very committed to local government financing. And he will protect the essential services we need at the local level and not try to balance Sacramento's problems on our backs. And it's for that reason I support you, Mike.
Well, thank
proud
you.
to do it.
Well, thank you very much. A good friend of mine, our local city councilwoman, an independent, a true independent, Michael Self.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I'm very glad to be here. I've known Mike for years, and I have really appreciate that he has not only experience in government, but he has real life experience having owned businesses. And as you've heard, he will be the one who would be able to have an impact on this impasse that we have, because he is willing to work. And that doesn't mean necessarily compromise. It means coming up with solutions that work for everybody. He has that kind of mind, and I just love it because Mike has told me before, and I know him about his fiscal strength, is that we do not have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem, and he can fix it.
I plan to do that starting January. You know, and this was not choreographed, folks. I just realized all my Democrat friends that are endorsing me are over here on the left, and all my independents. It really wasn't done that way, I swear. We just came down. Good friend of mine, Mayor of Solvang, and a registered independent, Jim Richardson.
As an independent voter, I'm proud to know Mike, and I know of Mike's reputation. I've studied his background and know what he's done in the past, and I'm sure he'll be able to continue on with the same programs that he's worked and was successful at in the future. I've also checked out his opponent, and between the two of them, I'm for Mike. I'm stoked on Mike Stoker.
And a man that's just done an incredible job. I mean, Goleta is just, is taken off over the last couple years, and one of the main reasons for that is Mayor Eric Ahnen, who's an independent. I think it's sad that he's stepping down as the mayor, because I think that city, under his leadership, has just done incredible things. But Eric?
Thank you, Mike. That's very kind. As an independent and elected official, but more importantly, I'm a small business owner. And as a small business owner, viewing government from the inside, you recognize how critical regulation is to the success and continuation of small business and business in general. Mike understands that. He's made a commitment to address those issues of overregulation, which leads us to taxation, that are so important for California to rebound. And of course, I'll echo Mr. Richardson's comments about when you look at his opponent, who already is not willing to support Prop 22 to protect local revenues, we recognize that that's more of what is going on there. We need someone who will look at a way to change it and get California back on track.
Great. Well, again, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you up there. We have a lot of community leaders standing behind me, and again, I mean, today I'm really I'm humbled and honored of what's happening here today. The media can go back and you tell me what election it was where you had somebody running in a partisan race that had so many people supporting their candidacy that weren't of their same party. I can't remember it in 30 years. And I think, again, I think that's because I've proven myself over different things I've done in 30 years of public service in different capacities, that I'm an independent thinker. I approach things independently, and I work with everybody to get the job done. That's how I've always done it in the past, and that's how I plan to do it as the Assemblyman for the 35th Assembly District starting next January.
Yeah.